And that was a lot of fun.
And that was, and what I'm hearing from you, it was very intentional. There was no
Extremely intentional.
In fact, I saw, I don't know when it was, I don't know if it was Floodies or whatever, it was something. I remember Necessary Noise with motorbikes coming in, and I'm just like, this is insane.
Yeah, my hypes. Hype was very important. In fact, you talk of Floodies, something very interesting happened in 97 as well. 97 was the golden year. Lauryn Hill. So, one day I'm chilling in my house. Because those days we didn't really have mobiles, or we had just started getting them or something. I remember we got our first mobiles actually when we were doing Benson Hedges Golden Tones. That's how we got our first mobile. In fact, my number today is still the number, but with an extra 2, 07. It was 072, then the number. Because we had to be in touch over the Benson Hedges Golden Tones. And but at that time we didn't have, this is 97 now, back to 97. And I get a call from Victor Say of Five Alive. And says, David, Lauryn Hill is in town. And she's here at the Fairview. You need to come. And I said, stop jokes, and I hung up.
This time, the Fugees are so huge.
Fugees were
huge.
They're one of the biggest American acts.
Yeah.
And he calls me back. He says, hey, guy, I'm not joking. I'm looking at her right now. I say, are you serious? I tell you why this is very important to me. 2 years earlier in the UK, my then wife, when we were dating, she'd taken me out to watch Sister Act 2, Sister Act 2, which Lauryn Hill was in. And I remember watching Lauryn Hill, and to be honest, I had the hugest crush. Crush in a mbaya. The only other person I had a crush on like that was Janet Jackson. And I told her, I remember saying, one day I'm going to meet this lady. I don't know why I said that, but I said, one day I'm going to meet her. So you can imagine now, fast forward, how much of a joke I thought this was.
Yeah.
But the way Victor said it the second time is like, I know, this sounds a bit serious. So what do? I jump in my car. I was living on the off near Caledonia at the time. Jump in my car, I drive to South B, where Ted was. I tell Ted, hey, we need to do this thing. Come, let's go. So now we're looking for Hardstone. We had to go to Jerusalem, look for Hardstone, found him too. Get in the car, let's go. So we make our way an hour later to Fairview. Now I'm trying to compose myself. Remember, I was sweating, I just wiped, nervous as hell. And we walk in to the lobby, and sure enough, Dioyo. There's something I learned about artist management back in the UK. Forget the artists, talk to the managers. Connect to the managers. So me, I left now, what were my hypes, to go to Lauryn Hill. I looked for the manager who was her father at the time, and she was with her husband, Marley's son. What is his name?
Ziggy, is it?
The other Marley, there's another Marley. Anyway, that one. No,
not Damien.
That one, we'll get that.
Yeah, this photo here, this
that
guy.
One. She was just, we didn't see her at the time, but she was slightly pregnant with her first child. But she was still looking at me. Anyway, so I looked, I said, who's the manager? And I remember the dad with specs, whatnot. I went straight to him and said, hi, my name is David. I'm manager of one of the top artists in Kenya, and And he was like, oh, wow, okay. I mean, yes, would you like to meet Lauryn? I said, oh, yeah, I mean, if you want me to meet her, it's fine. Then my heart is just going, kutuf. So I call her husband over, come, let's meet. So, hey, Miss Hill, really good to meet you. I'm such a big fan, you know. She was really pleasant, really pleasant. Roland Marley, I think. Roland Marley, I think that's his name.
It's come, eh?
Yeah, it comes. This 50-year-old thing coming in my head. And anyway, so we talk, we nini. And then Five Alive had organized for them to perform, I think it was the same day or the following day, one of the two, at Braeburn on Getanga Road for their year-end closing thing, something or other, as a surprise. Because Five Alive were going to do a show there anyway. So they asked Hardstone, can you come and open as well? And remember, we were also DJ Pinye, if I'm not wrong. And we also did a lot of stuff with DJ Pinye those days, by the way. And then...
hence even the Ohiki remix.
Hence the DJ Pinye Ohiki remix. Which was really just a name we gave. It was really Ted's remix.
Yeah.
But Pinye said he liked it, so we put it.
Because I'm like, how did
Sorry, Pinye, I've just bust your bubble now, man. Everyone thought, man, I'm sorry. But Pinye used to actually give a lot of input into music, to be honest, to be fair. He had a very good mind for that. So what happened?
So now you go Brabant.
We go to Brabant. Hearthstone performs. So we're waiting for those guys to come. Five Alive, I've just started performing. And me, I'm still waiting. I'm checking outside. Me, my event management, talent management thing, hat was always there. So I said, look, I'll handle this side, nini. Myself, I think, and who else? Yeah, I think Five Alive were on stage when those guys landed. So Five Alive, and they had a group team of like 5 or whatever. And the kids were all sitting, and I remember all the teachers were on the side. So I get them out of the car, nini. I think Chris also came with me, Chris Kamau, Five Alive, because I think, if I remember right. Anyway, got them to the, hidden but near the door. Got a mic to her. And then who emceed? Chris did. I think Chris did. Said, boys and girls, we have a special guest. and I think Pinye had the instrumentals or something. And she walked in. Which song did she play? I think it was Radio Not. Here I Come. And they couldn't see. So they're like, because we had kept that thing quiet like it was them. Then she walks on stage.
Explosion.
Up to today, I still say there was a girl, I think, at the back of the room who ended up in front of us in 2 seconds. I think she jumped. I think she jumped about 200 students and was here. The screaming took 10 minutes. There was hysteria. Now, the teachers had no idea who these were. There are a lot of foreign teachers, so they had no idea who Lauryn Hill was. They were just wondering what's going on with our children. They thought there's something wrong. Some evil spirit has entered the school. Anyway, they eventually calmed them down, and she was really cool. She got some kids come on stage. She played a musical game, blah blah blah. Did one more song and left. As we were leaving, because we're going to the reason she was in town actually.
Actually, I was going to ask why was she? Why was she in town?
The reason she was in town, the Fugees were going to do a project in Ethiopia, a refugee project in Ethiopia, and she was representing the Fugees. So they were flying that night, I remember. So I ran out to them at the back when they were leaving, and I said to the dad, look, we have an upcoming event called Kisima Awards. I had the poster at the time. Remember, she signed it. If I can find it, I'll show it to you. But she signed it and said, good luck, something. And I said, we also have an artist. This artist who's been on stage, Hearthstone. I don't know. I mean, this might be pushing it, but he has his CD launch. Would you just come and just say hi to, the fans? They said, we're not sure. We're coming back that day. We're not too sure, but we'll let you know. Those days we had pagers. Now I remember. We had pagers. Capital pagers. That was the original way of keeping in touch in a high-tech way. Kids at home, just Google pagers. So, the show starts. It's at Fladdy's.
Yes.
And it was sponsored, I think, by Dawanol. The brand manager at the time was now a big techie guy. Was Paul Kokubo. He's a very well-known man in tech. I think he's in South Africa right now. And so the show starts. So earlier in the day on KBC, I put out a little rumor.
Yeah, you did. It's you. It's you.
Quietly, just told one of the presenters, there's a rumor Lauryn Hill might be unraveling. So I think the numbers they got were more than normal. So we had some opening acts. I'm sure it was Kalamashaka or in 2 opening acts. Kiasi, DJ Pinyo was DJing. At this point, we have no idea whether they're coming or not, because no way of communicating. It's about 8, 9 o'clock.
Exactly, the whole day goes. That thing has.
They're performing. So Hearthstone starts his CD launch. I remember I was at the back of the stage, and I was with Ted, and we look at the back of the tent, at the entrance, etc., and we just see 5 cars with lights doing this at the back, and I just said, oh my God, it's going down. It's actually, like, my life changed at that point. And I went into event management mode, and I called Paul, and I told him, look, let's reorganize. I remember they had some dogs and everything. We had to reorganize now security, bring it more to the back to block people from taking over the back. So we just brought all security, lined up security, So by the time they even drove in, the back was secure. So they came out of the cars, and I remember, and I have to just tell this to everyone, she kissed me here, and she kissed me here. I haven't washed this side since. If you notice, it's a bit darker than this side. I have not, yeah, anyway. And she was like, wow, it's quite a crowd. I said, so we did the same thing. Got our microphone. Hudson was launching his own CD. I told him. Pinye was there with my height. And said, ladies and gentlemen, I think I was emceeing. I think I was the MC at that time. I think.
Me, I was the mafan in the crowd.
Or was it Quatch? I'm not sure actually who was MC. Some of the things are just scanty. Anyway, I said, I think it was me. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest. And she started strumming my pain with his finger. One time! And there was silence. Then she walks on stage singing it. Let me tell you. In fact, there's some guys I remember saying, fake. They started leaving, before.
Many guys are started leaving.
Guys, I remember they were waiting for buses at the, and now we have nice background music.
Okay, so, strumming my pain with this.
So guys, some had thought it was fake, so some had started leaving even, and some had started walking. I remember there was someone trying to wait for a bus on the road. Then they had that, and they came running back.
Yep.
And people went nuggets. nuts. Because all the brave band kids had gone crazy. These guys went. And I remember she did like 3 songs, and everyone was just singing. And I remember at one point she said, you all know my song, you all know my lyrics.
Word for word.
Word for word. I mean, she was like, and then she left, and when she was leaving, again, she hugged me.
It's so cool to know you're the one who was responsible in a sense for her appearing on stage that day.
Absolutely.
That is just...
Absolutely. With the help of Five Alive, I have to say. And that was insane, and was beautiful the following day, because her manager was very good friends with the owners of Pa Gallery, of whom Eli Munjao's wife, who's American. And they have they used to have a nice small gallery. Unfortunately, I think got burned down recently or something, but off Kiambu Road. And we spent the entire following day with Lauryn Hill, her father, Hardstone, Five Alive, and somebody reminded me, DJ Styles, reminded me he was a little boy who was running around at that. I just remember there was like a little cowboy, because he was from the hood. It's like a little boy was running. It was him. He reminded me that the other day, out of the blue. But we spent the entire afternoon just eating, jam sessioning with DJ Pinye, Ted, Lauryn Hill, the entire afternoon.
That's crazy.
We just hung out. We're like 12, 15 of us. We just hung out. Now DJ Pinye is the only one with footage of that thing, and I think he lost it. He's the only evidence, but he's looking for it. That would just be gold. I'd pay anything for that. But that was such a moment for me. It was just the best. So that was the Lauryn Hill thing in '97.
So the whole reason, in fact, okay, let's now go back to Hugh. Yeah.
So Mwangi and Joe tell me this thing. We get sponsorship. Hugh Masekela comes, and I organized interviews. I organized, the ticketing was running from my office. The tickets sold out. We did 3 shows. We did 2 shows at Carnival, 1 show at Safari Park. Tickets sold out completely. And we're really...
What year was this?
97.
97.
This was in September 97. And it was apparently so well organized that his management team, a guy called Peter Clady, that's P-T-A-L-D-I, Peter Clady, who organizes the Joy of Jazz Festival in Johannesburg now. He invited me back the following year. He was so impressed with us. He said, actually, I think my team has something to learn from you.
What?
So he invited me to South Africa the following year, and Hugh and I just hit it off. We hit it off like we'd been family members, to be honest. We really hit it off. Up to the day he died, we became best of friends nearly instantly. But I brought my A game. And he invited me to come and work for his company for 2 weeks, like an internship kind of thing.
Yeah.
But just to help with some pre-production stuff, because Hugh Masekela and Miriam Makeba were doing a show in what was then called Pretoria, what's Shwane now, and at the Pretoria State Theatre, and they were commemorating Sharpeville Massacre. And they hadn't performed together, I think, in over 20 years or something like that. So it was a mega show, mega show. So literally worked on this show for 2 weeks, behind the scenes, and I'll never forget the day I met Miriam Makeba, because Miriam Makeba was once married. They were once married to each other for about a year.
Oh, serious?
Hugh Masekela and Miriam Makeba, yeah.
That.
They were second wives and husbands to each other or something like that, and very close generally. And so I remember Hugh just said, "Oh, Ma Miriam, this is David. He's the one who brought me to Kenya," and walked off. And I remember her saying, she said something like, my child, you took him. You need to take me back. I love Kenya. I performed in Kenya in independence.
Yeah.
President Kenyatta brought me independence. You know, the whole story of Miriam Makeba performed at independence.
Yo.
Know your history.
Know your history.
Now,
for real.
she's saying all that. That's how Malaika came about. Mazda Madoka taught her Malaika, the words to Malaika. There's a whole history about that. But she's saying all this. She didn't realize my jaw was open. This is Mama Africa.
Yeah.
I've never been so starstruck in my life, and not since, to be honest. I was meeting Miriam. I just couldn't believe it. In fact, it's the only time my dad's ever been jealous about me. Only time. And my jaw, and I think I have a picture. This picture. And I actually couldn't talk. There were no words. And I've met big artists. I mean, when I was a DJ, I opened for big acts in Manchester. Run DMC, I opened for Brand New Heavies, Gangsta, DJ Premier and Guru, the Sugar Hill Gang, Brand New Heavies. I opened for Simply Red, I toured with Simply Red.
What?
I opened for big acts.
You toured with Simply
Red? Big acts. This was nothing compared to any of those. This was Miriam Makeba. And I got goose pimples, and she realized, and she said, "Oh, it's okay, my son," and she came and just hugged me.
It's over.
I melted. I was finished. And to spend the next, few days with her was honestly an honor. Just an honor. There's no other way of saying it. One of the most beautiful moments in my entire entertainment career. 30 years. Just that moment I will never forget. Anyway, and that moment also, around that same time, we went to the South Africa Music Awards at Sun City. And that's when I got to meet Mafikizolo. I got to meet TKZ. I got to meet all the big South African groups. I met them there. Ringo, Sibongile Kumalo. I mean, really. Actually, I got ingrained into the South African music industry in one shot, thanks to Hugh Masekela, thanks to Peter Tladi.
Yeah.
And I stayed at Hugh Masekela's house for a couple of weeks, for 2-3 weeks. The interesting story, when we're coming back from one of the rehearsals in Pretoria, driving back, it's like a half-hour drive. We had an attempted carjack, and Hugh Masekela was driving, and this guy, Mzungu, was trying to drive us off the road. We're not sure whether it was a racial attack but he had exactly the same car as Hugh Masekela. And it must have been rage of some sort. And we were the only 2 cars on the highway, and he was trying to actually drive us off the road, literally. First we thought he was just driving drunk, but he was actually trying to drive us off the road.
Yeah.
So Hugh gives me his phone, and he's busy telling me, call the police. We're trying to call the police, and they're like, well, we're too far away, we can't say, and all sorts of things. And anyway, eventually the guy drove off one of the, what they call the off ramps, the side roads. And so bizarre. Anyway, so that's what happened then. And so Hugh and I started a relationship, and when we're there, he said, look, can you be my eyes and ears in East Africa? I need eyes and ears there. I want to come to East Africa a lot more. So basically I helped facilitate a lot of his East Africa tours around
So from that moment of time, anytime Hugh came into the country, you were involved?
I was definitely involved one way or another, for sure.
What? I heard you mention TKZ. Were you involved in TKZ's coming?
Let me tell you an interesting thing, a fact that no one knows, except I think John Obongo Jr. of KBC. So that same time I was in South Africa, I went with Hugh Masekela to Universal. I remember he was collecting his royalty checks. I'd never seen a royalty check of that scale. I was like, what? Yeah, he said this is for music. That's when now really fully understood that IP. I understood it in the UK, but this is when I
Because
saw
you're
it
in
live.
Africa. Now you're like,
I'm
this is
seeing it in
okay.
Africa
Yeah, it's-
live.
yeah.
That copyright kumbe is important. So we went to Universal Records, we went to Sony, and everywhere we went, I was introduced as a Kenyan. They gave me music, like, you know, samples, whatever. I said,
Yeah.
please go play this in Kenya. Please go play this in Kenya. It was in forms of sometimes in vinyl and CDs. I'll never forget, because I was just praying at immigration, please, please, please don't open my bag, because it was just full of music.
Yeah.
There's no way I could have justified. It was just sample music.
Yes.
But in it, one of the things I had, Bongo Muffin was there. This was Mazwai, who used to be part of Bongo Muffin. But TKZ, the Uma Pala Fala album.
The Show Me Your Ngotha.
Yes, that one. And up until that time, South African pop was not being played on Kenyan radio. It had not hit here. Kwaito had not hit Kenya.
Yeah.
I introduced
Yeah.
Kwaito to Kenya. I can say that comfortably and
What?
with confidence. So I took all those CDs, I took them, I remember we did a show, I think it was John Obongo and Bilo Didi. I played, I said, look, yo, this is the new stuff, this is the stuff. And they started playing it, and that's how South African Kwaito started getting popularized on Kenyan radio. It was me. And I'll stand by that. If anyone else can prove otherwise, please come. Because it had just come out in South Africa. And a year later, TKZ did come to Kenya. So in a way, indirectly, I did facilitate them coming over, because the popularity really shot up. And there was stuff, Zola and
Mandoza. Din. In fact, I remember Mandoza because it's the era of 2000, 2001.
Right.
Another thing that was huge there that I want you to now touch on for the first time, I'm like, okay, let's cross this 90s.
Yes, let's cross into the...
Now, Safaricom. I've had Ginadine tell this story because Ginadine, from a PR perspective, was doing
She was the PR for Safaricom,
yes,
yes.
exactly. So tell us about the launch and about you. And that began your relationship with Safaricom till today.